Good morning, my class 8 students. Hope you are taking good care of yourselves. Today I am here with your Political Science Unit 2, and few days back I had posted a preview of this chapter. Hope you have gone through it. And now, as the Unit 2 suggests Parliament and the making of laws, before I proceed, let me make it clear that in India we have democratic form of government, and democracy suggests that there should be people's participation. But since indirect democracy is being practiced in India, which is also termed as representative democracy, so henceforth representatives of the people are to participate in the running of the government. Now, as we all know, India got independence on 15th August 1947, and people from various backgrounds joined the struggle, although they were inspired by ideas of freedom and equality from other countries world around. Now people's participation has to be there in a democratic form of government, and in India we are practicing indirect democracy or representative democracy. Now people's participation is through what? Through the parliament. When we say parliament and the making of laws, through the parliament. And parliament, as we all know, it has democratically elected representatives of the people. Democratically elected means through general elections. And before I proceed, let me make it clear, our Indian parliament is bicameral, which means it comprises of two houses. So, as the third chapter is why do we need a parliament? Why do we need a parliament? Parliament makes laws, holds the government accountable for its policies. And if we say so, it also includes in examining and approving government taxes, spending, holding government accounts, and so on and so forth. Now, why should people decide? Yes, as we said, that why should people decide? Because it's people's government. It's a democracy. Government of India Act 1909 allowed for some elected representation. The dreams and aspirations of the freedom struggle were made concrete in the Constitution of Independent India that laid down the principle of universal adult franchise. That is, that all adult citizens of the country have the right to vote. When we say all adult, means anybody whosoever has attained the age of 18 years. Now, Government of India Act. Government of India Act 1909 was also known as Minto Morley Reforms. and it was named after the Secretary of the State and the Viceroy. This was introduced by the Britishers, introduced in reference or with reference to communal electorates. Basically, when Indian National Congress, say as way back in 1885, demanded that there should be elected members in the legislature. So then, to please the moderates, in fact, Indian National Congress had two groups of people. One were known as moderates, another were known as extremists. Moderates were of the belief of prayers, petitions, and extremists believed in agitations and protests. So moderates were to be pleased, and henceforth Government of India Act 1909 allowed for some elected representation. Now proceeding further, people and their representatives. Now idea of consent, that is the desire, approval and participation of the people. It is the decision of the people that creates a democratic government and decides about its functioning. So, when we say this, people would elect their representatives to the parliament. Then, one group from among these elected representatives forms the government. And the parliament, which is made up of all representatives together, controls and guides the government. Now, how do they do this? Because we know that Parliament of India is the supreme legislative body. And as I said, it comprises of two houses. One is Rajya Sabha, another is Lok Sabha. Now, when we say Rajya Sabha has played a constructive and effective role in our polity. Its performance in the legislative field and influencing government policies has been quite significant. And as far as talking about House of People or Lok Sabha, here the people have been directly elected as representatives of the people. So of course it has more of importance. Now the parliament in our systems has immense powers because it is the representative of the people. Elections to the parliament are held in a similar manner as they are for the state legislature. So when we say that Parliament is a legislative body of the government, it has three functions mainly. One is representing the electorate through the people, of course. Then making laws, that is legislature or being a legislative body, and overseeing the government by hearing the inquiries, that is again judiciary. So here we can also take into account the three organs of the government. Now the Parliament of India consists of the President, the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha. One of the most important functions of the Lok Sabha is to select the executive. The executive is a group of persons who work together to implement the laws made by the Parliament. And the Prime Minister of India is the leader of the ruling party in the Lok Sabha. Now, here again I would like to mention the three organs. Legislature legislates the laws or makes the laws or promulgates the laws. Then executive or as you pronounce executive, it is a group of people, body, which looks into that they have been implemented. And the third organ, that is judiciary, it looks into if it has been put into practice properly and it has had been interpreted as required or as desired. Now here again, from a world scenario, if you look into it, the role of parliament, the two-house system, checking the work of government, legislation, debate, rules and customs, traditions of parliament, parliament and government, then parliament and crown, then devolved parliaments and assemblies, Europe, evolution of parliament. These are the various functions from world around or European countries. Now, role of the parliament. The Lok Sabha is usually elected once every 5 years. The country is divided into numerous constituencies. Each of these constituencies elects one person to the parliament. Now, the candidate who contest elections usually belong to different political parties. And once selected, these candidates become members of the parliament, or as we call them, MPs. And these MPs together make up the parliament. Now, talking of main functions of the parliament, first one, to select the national government. Second, to control, guide and inform the government. And third is lawmaking. Another perspective of the important functions of the parliament is to provide for the formation of a government, then to legislate, again to make laws, to provide the funds needed for government, that is financial, then again to provide a forum for proper and popular representation, and to scrutinize the actions of the government. When we say scrutinize, it means role of the opposition. Now, when we get on to select the national government, the Prime Minister selects ministers to work and implement decisions. They then take the charge of different areas of government functioning like health, education and finance. Now, as we all know, Prime Minister is head of the executive, and he looks into it that those ministers who have been selected and have been given certain portfolios, they have to take the decisions, they have to look into various government functionings. That is very important, and for everything, Prime Minister is responsible. He is the executive head. Now, Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha functions primarily as the representative of the states of India in the parliament. The Rajya Sabha can also initiate legislation, and a bill is required to pass through Rajya Sabha in order to become a law. It therefore has an important role of reviewing and altering the laws initiated by the Lok Sabha. And members are elected by the elected members of the legislative assemblies of various states. So now Rajya Sabha generally, it has 233 elected members plus 12 nominated members by the President. 12 members have been nominated by the President, and these members of the Rajya Sabha are generally the very affluent people of their own fields, say as sports, say as cinema, or you take it into account from mathematicians or people from education field, and they are believed to be those people who have acclaimed to be best amongst the all. Now, to control, guide and inform the government. This is another role of the Parliament. Parliament, while in session, begins with a question hour. Now, the question hour is an important mechanism. When we say important mechanisms through which MPs can elicit information about the working of the government. That how the government is working, they have been given all the rights to question the government. This is a very important way through which the Parliament controls the executive. It is in fact the first hour of session of India's Lok Sabha, devoted to questions that the members of the Parliament raise about, say, as any aspect of administrative activity. The concerned minister is obliged to answer to the Parliament, either orally or in writing, depending on the type of question which has been raised. So now, generally question hour starts at around 11 a.m. and concludes at 12 noon on 5 days a week when the House sits. That is, say, Monday to Friday. Now, opposition party. Opposition party is formed by all the political parties that oppose the majority party. The largest amongst them is called opposition party. They highlight drawbacks in various policies. Various policies of what? Various policies and programs of the government. Then, and mobilizes popular support for their own policies. When we say parliamentary opposition, it's a form of political opposition to the designated government. And generally, opposition keeps asking the government to explain its actions, debating bills, proposed laws, and at times working on committees that examine the bills and important national issues. So, somehow, in politics, opposition comprises of one or more political parties or other organized groups that are opposed primarily ideologically to the government. Now coming to coalition government. What is it? Coalition government. Coalition government, as the term suggests, a government or somehow when we say many parties coming together. So after elections, when one single political party does not win in majority, two or more political parties come together to form a coalition government. And here the political parties cooperate, reducing the dominance of any one party with whichever is in the coalition. The usual reason for this kind of arrangement is that no party on its own can achieve a majority in the election. That is why they have reconciled and somehow they have come together. These parties agree to govern in coalition. Am I right? Am I clear? So coalition governments are formed when political alliance comes to power. It's kind of a plurality, if you may term it as so. Right? It it is a temporary alliance of groups or parties. At times, they also seek for portfolios for their own leaders. They actually put their foot down and they say that we are going to support only if such and such portfolio is given to my such and such leader. So at times they are in a position to put their conditions, although they don't last long. Now, to control, guide and inform the government, in which way? The MPs as representatives of the people have a central role in controlling, guiding and informing Parliament, and this is a key aspect of the functioning of Indian democracy. In addition, in all matters dealing with finances, the Parliament's approval is crucial for the government. So come what may, the Parliament has to be taken into confidence. Lawmaking. When we say lawmaking, that is the most significant role of Parliament. So, it's a process of, in fact, crafting the legislation. Lawmaking is the most significant function of a Parliament. An important role of Parliament is to be sensitive to the problems faced by the people. There are many ways through which this takes place, and different groups in society raise the need for a particular law. So, lawmaking in modern democracies is a work of legislatures which exist at local, regional and national levels. And they make such laws which are appropriate to their level and binding over those under their own jurisdiction. Am I right? So here, Parliament is believed to be legislative body. Generally, the bill is put before the chamber to be voted in. Then here it is read clause by clause. And finally, the members of the House, they have to give their views if they agree to it, if they do not agree, or if they have any objections, any such thing, whichever it is, everything is being taken care of in the Parliament. Of course, this particular topic would be dealt with in detail in the forthcoming chapter. And here, since this was, it was essential to give the reference, so I have taken up here. Now, who are the people in the Parliament? Again, who are the people? Of course, the people have to be there. Everything is through the people. As right in the beginning, when we used to discuss about democracy, it was said that democratic form of a government or democracy is a government of the people, by the people and for the people. So Parliament has more and more people from different backgrounds. And different backgrounds means groups and people that were till now unrepresented. They are beginning to get selected to the Parliament. And there has been political participation from Dalits. It's a backward section of the society. And backward classes, other backward classes, of course. It has also been taken care that seats are to be reserved for scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. And of course for women. So, it has been taken special care, wherein earlier we never spoke about these things. They were believed to be the marginalized section of the society. I may take this audacity to use this word marginalized, although this marginalization is a chapter, I think second or third last chapter, right, towards the end of your contents. And marginalization suggests that to be sidelined, to be on the fringes or on the edges. So somehow these backward classes were marginalized. And talking about women, of course, they were also not considered worth. And somehow, if we get on to the statistics, perhaps it has more recently been suggested that there should be reservation of seats for women. And this is still a debatable issue. Only 4% of MPs were women somewhere 60 years ago. And if we look into today's perspective, it is just above 11%. So this is a small share when you consider the fact that half of the population are women. So generally we look into it that many of the unresolved questions are still there. And whether our democratic system is representative enough or not, it's a question mark. Nonetheless, we have all the more possibilities of discussing them. And the fact that we can ask these questions and are working towards answers is a reflection of the strength and faith of the people in India. And again, how it is ascertained to us? Through the democratic form of government. Democracy gives this right to its people. So, with this, we cover up the chapter. And in between the chapter, there were texts. Somehow it is about fill in the blanks, statements to be made, or wherein they have asked to use the terms which have been used in the chapter, which are kind of constituency and represent. Use those terms and explain who's an MLA, and also fill in the blank calls for the use of words like universal adult franchise, representatives, directly. So if you have the textbook, those students who have the books with them, they can go through it and they can do the text in the book itself, need not to do it in the copy. And those who are not carrying the books, or those who don't have the books with them, you can visit the school website, wherein the link is given for downloading the NCERT textbooks. So you can download the chapter whichever you require. Assignment here which I have given you is a little different. Answer the given questions. Very simple. Which political party is ruling the state you are living in? We have two national parties. Yeah. This clue is enough. The second question, find out how many women representatives are there from your state. How many women representatives are there in the governance? So now, which political parties currently form the opposition? This is on a national level. I don't think if there is any intricacy or ambiguity in these questions, you can do them. Moving further, a political map is shown here with states and union territories. Take the help of this map and mark the state you are living in right now. And answer the given questions with reference to the same. Given questions which I read just now, all those three questions. So what you will do? You will mark the state wherever you are living in, and the name of the place you will write it. So easiest proposition is that you download a blank map for yourself, or if you can trace it from somewhere, or those who are good at art, they can draw it freehand, no problem. and then you mark the state. The outline should be done in one single color, and the state, wherever you need to mark, whichever you need to color and mark, so you should outline that particular state and color it with whatever color you like, but it should be presentable, good to look at. And time frame, of course, for the assignments which are given with the chapters, generally time frame is 1 week, because next week another assignment is on way. So in that event, you will complete the assignment and you will post it on the Google Classroom students section, right? So I hope you'll enjoy doing the assignment, and the chapter I have explained to the fullest. And now I would like to sum up this session. Enjoy doing the assignment. Go through the module once again. You'll get all the references from there. And stay safe. Bye-bye.